everyone, it's April with Hair 101 and I'm going to give you a special tutorial today because this is my friend since I was a little girl, like 7, 6. And she's getting married. So exciting. And this is going to be her wedding updo hair. So this is kind of our practice run to make sure that we have all of our, we're on the same page pretty much, so that when I do her hair on her wedding day, we're not surprised and we know how long it takes and we can make any adjustments if it didn't feel right or look right to her. So we have added a few of the Tressmerized hair extensions throughout her hair just to give it some more thickness, and we also took one of them, the one that had 3 clips, and we folded it into thirds and then did like a loose braid on that. And we're going to clip this into her hair and make kind of like a headband across the top. So there you go. So that's what we've done so far. And then I'm going through and I'm using a curling iron. This is a 1 1/4 inch, I believe, and it's a Marcel. So, and it's from beauty school and has tape on it because that's how things happen with me. I kind of keep things forever until they break. So it hasn't broke yet, so I'm going to keep using it. And I'm just going through and I'm curling her hair into the extension hair so that they're kind of more uniform curls, because the extensions were a little bit curled when I put them in her hair. And so we're trying to get them to be her hair curl too, because her real hair is just straight right now. So I'm going to go through all of her hair and just curl all of it. And the style we're doing is really loose and airy, and it's not super tight to her head. So that's why I'm curling all of the hair right now, just to make sure that we get some good body in there. So this is a heat protectant, and anytime you curl hair extensions or blonde hair, or anytime you curl or use heat on hair at all, you can use this stuff. It's called Iron Shape. It's from Redken, and it does give a little bit of a hold, but it's also a heat protectant. So I really like that stuff. So that's what I'm spraying throughout her hair. I want to keep these curls really soft, so I'm not using like a really heavy hairspray, just something that stays soft. So using a Marcel is a little bit different than a regular curling iron. You start down closer to the roots and then you just kind of feed it through and open it and slowly pull the hair through as you turn and keep twisting it. And that way the hair on the ends, that is usually the most porous, gets the least amount of heat, but it all still curls uniform. But it's just less damaging for the hair to do it that way. So that's why I like using Marcel's. So I'm going to make sure that I don't go too high up on her head, because the hairstyle that we're trying to do has more of like a straight look on the top, just the ends are curled. Here's the thing with updos, you guys. They are always, like, I always feel like I'm just kind of making it up as I go and flying by the seat of my pants. And with 90% of updos that I've done, they always turn out really good, but they always at one point look terrible. And so you'll have the brides or whoever sitting in your chair, they might want to freak out for a little bit because they're like, oh, this is really ugly. But the thing is that if you keep messing with it, it usually transforms into something beautiful. So you just have to keep going at it and make sure that you're focusing on the balance and everything. If the balance is there, then you just need to tweak it a little bit usually. So curling it is a good start for most wedding updos. Well, I guess it depends on what picture you're doing, but this gets everything ready to like start pinning it in the place where it goes. So yeah, don't be scared if in the middle of the updo there's like 10 spots where you're thinking, oh, that looks really bad. And sometimes if it's just not working out, I'll say, you know what, that little section is not working out right now. I'm going to leave it alone for a second and move somewhere else and start working on that. And usually by the time I get back over to it, I find a spot for it to all fit in and it fits together. So it's definitely something that you just have to work with and not give up. And if it doesn't look right, sometimes there's been a few times where I just have to start over because I'm like, okay, you know what? I know what I did not so right. I know what I did wrong, and I have an idea that would make this look right. So let's undo it and hurry and quick and do it over. Make sure you have enough time, especially if it's wedding hair, to be able to do that. I always do at least an hour for wedding hair, but sometimes like an hour and a half. And I try to get it going really fast so that I have enough time if I have to kind of pull out a few pieces and start them over. And I tell my brides or any updos to come with their hair a day dirty and just whatever, however they wear it, because if I were to have just washed her and dried it, it would be really, really clean and really hard to move around and get to stay. And you can tell it still looks beautiful. The curls still stayed in. So yeah, it's fine. So we are going to have a look at that again. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place this hair extension that we're going to have clipped in. And we're going to do it right behind her ear. And this is just something that I'm going to have to hide later. So I'm going to clip it in and make sure it's pretty secure. And this, yeah, like that's hideous. There's no way I would just be like, oh, you're done. But I'm going to leave it alone for now because I can figure out ways to bring the curls around and hide it later. But I also want to make sure that it's in a place in her head that's not going to be poking out. So that actually is a little bit too high. I'm going to move it down here a little bit more underneath. And I see that I can still have a teeny bit of room here for the braid to, it's hard because it needs to be able to tuck behind her ear on this side too. So the thing with these, you can get headbands that are already braided at like Claire's. And so that might be like a little bit better option for something like this because you can just put the headband on and then like do the hairstyle around it. But we don't have that today, so we're making this work. If I were planning to do this on someone and didn't have a hair extension at all, this would be very difficult because in order to get the braid to look thick enough up here, it's like you'd have to have super, super thick hair for it to really work out good. So yeah, extensions are a good thing. So I'm just gonna move it back a little bit more so that we have a little bit more room to make it not like a bump right behind her ear. There we go. Does that feel okay? Mm-hmm. All right, and then I'm going to just check it again. And that's a little bit better. So, okay, so I've got that in place. We're gonna move this back here. And I'm gonna part the hair right at her ear and try to move it around there. So there's a little bit of her hair that's in front to kind of cover up that. And then I also have some of the hair laying over this spot where we pinned it in. And then, so I added another weft underneath. All of that's going to need to be covered up with curls. So we're gonna have a bunch of low curls down here in the back of her head that will cover all of this up. And this is all of my headband braid hair now. So split it up into 3 equal sections. So I'm gonna do a couple braids to lock it in. Tilt your head this way just a little bit. There we go. And then once I get a couple of them in, I'm just going to pull the edges to spread it out, make it look a little bit thicker. And then I'm gonna braid 2 more. Same thing, just kind of spread the edges to make it look a little bit thicker and wider and softer. So we're going to pin the braid in place. And I always make sure that the hair underneath the braid is decent looking so that you can have less drama with that when you're done. And this I'm going to just pin low right on the other side of her head. And I'm going to use a silver bobby pin because you want to make sure when you're doing updo hair that you're matching the bobby pin as close to the hair as you can. And I only have dark brown right now and silver, so the closest match is silver. And they usually look the best in blonde hair anyway, I think. So, okay, so now the fun part. Now we are going to try to soften all of this hair around. And this is where we get to decide if we want to use this or not, because we can tuck this underneath.
That's interesting.
I don't know if we want to. I'm going to say no.
Okay.
I'm going to say it's okay. So now we're going to try to, I'm going to continue this braid. So what I'm going to do now, that braid's already pinned in, But I'm going to grab another section of hair underneath it and braid that and just kind of bring it around into the back because I want it to look like it kind of continued on. So I'm just going to braid another chunk of the hair underneath here. And loosely braid it and then try to pull the edges out to soften them. I'm just taking this braid that we just made and I'm bringing it back around here. And this might not even show a ton. I need another elastic here. But it's going to give me something to kind of anchor in some of the curls too that we wrap around it. Okay, so spread it out a little bit.
Waffle's very secure. It's awesome.
It does?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm going to use a little bit of hairspray now. So I'm trying to keep some of the like flyaways at bay. So once I get something in that I like, I always just spray it a little bit. And we need some body back here. So I'm going to make sure that I'm lifting back here and not plastering it down to the head so that she has more of an airy look to her hair, not helmet head. Okay, so now we have this back here that's kind of just all laying down. We need to start taking chunks of these curls and rolling them up. And I usually just kind of wrap it around my finger. And I'm going to start here because I really want to make sure I can cover up this spot where we put the extension. So I'm going to just kind of roll the hair up this way and try to lay it in and just pin in like a little bit of a curl. Like a pin curl kind of laying down. And anything to really just cover it up. And I'm always using my mirrors to make sure that nothing's bumping out funny on the front, because you can see right in here, that's kind of funny. So I need to retry that. Smooth it over. And mirrors are really, really important with updos because they're helping you keep the balance. They're helping you keep funny pokey sides out. See, I can see that it's a little bit more full here and kind of stuck to her head here. So I can reach in here and kind of just lift it out and try to make it softer. And I'm just going to actually, instead of doing a pin curl, I'm just going to kind of lift it up and over and put a bobby pin in. So that's covered up. Here, this part is going to get curled. This is her natural hair in here, and it's just needing a little bit more shape and body. So I'm going to lift it up. And I'm going to comb it smooth. And then I'm going to back comb here. And you can even use a little bit of product in here. I would use this powder play, because this is a really dry body, and it's going to help her to not have like wet looking helmet head. So, and if their hair is really clean when they come in and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so hard to work with because it's really, really clean, this stuff's awesome because it kind of makes it feel like it's dirty. And then I'm just going to curl. Once I get the roots to look full of body but not ratty looking, smooth them over with the comb on the very top softly, and that smooths over the top but it leaves the back combing underneath. Then you can take the curling iron and just give a little bit more of a curl in that area. And obviously when you guys try something like this, it's going to be a lot different because whoever you're dealing with might have a lot more hair, or a lot less hair, or it's shorter hair, or longer hair, or thicker hair, whatever. Everyone's hair is a little bit different for updos, and that's why you kind of always feel like you're making it up, because you are. You're making it up. But it's the most important thing is just to make sure you're using your eye to make sure that the balance is there, that it looks pretty. That's the kind of things that are gonna matter. Because I'm sure if it doesn't look exactly like the picture and it still looks beautiful, they're gonna be happy. It's not like they don't want the clone of the picture, they just want that idea, something similar. And right here, I'm having a little bit of a hard time covering all of this, but you wanna make sure it's completely covered. So I'm going to lift the hair up a little bit more and secure it more so that that's completely covered now. And I like that these are all kind of piecey, so I'm gonna leave that kind of look there. We want this to be soft. Okay, so now underneath here, we're just gonna kind of, you know what, I'm gonna take chunks of hair here and just kind of start tying it in knots. So I'm gonna have 2 pieces and I'm just gonna wrap it around and tie a knot and then do the other way. Ooh. And this is going to shorten it up really fast, but keep kind of the loose ends of the curls popping out. And then you can grab the ends and roll it up. And you have this really, really soft looking, curly looking knot. So that's what we're going for. Okay. And then you can kind of wrap it up this way and then pin the ends of that. You just kind of have to look and see where you think it looks good. And I always lock stuff like this in with a few bobby pins, one on each side, and they have to crisscross onto each other. And that's going to make sure that they don't slide out. And then I always ask them when I do something like that, if it feels secure. I make sure it feels secure to me first, and then I'll say, if you shake your head, does that feel like it's going to fall out? Because usually they can tell if it's not hooked into something secure. And so I'm going to push the pins in several spots that are pretty hidden until I feel like it's not going to go anywhere. And you can kind of feel it with your fingers and see when it's secure. And I'm checking the balance in the front too. Little pieces of hair that are sticking out like this, I usually leave them alone because in the end I can kind of shape them up with some hairspray or pomade and make them look cute. And even this little piece by her face, I could curl that up and keep it really soft around her face. So this kind of stuff I leave. Does that feel okay on this side? Like it doesn't feel like it's going to fall out?
Feels like it's there.
Okay. All right, and so now that I have this base over here of curls, I'm going to be directing everything else over to that spot and kind of wrapping the hair around. So right here, I'm going to just grab something from this other end and I'm going to kind of roll it up and I'm going to pin it above the braid. That is not the right color. And I just kind of let it roll with the curls that are already in there. It's kind of already just going there. Stick it in, secure it down. And then I'm just going to keep doing that. I'm going to keep taking chunks of hair over that way. Same thing up in here. I'm going to curl these a little bit more. Give it a little bit more body. Smooth it down. Because she has these shorter layers, I don't even really need to do too much with them. They can kind of just like waterfall lay down over, kind of just hang over what she already has with the braid and the longer hair and just look like a really cute layer and that will give a lot of body too, because if you try to pin these down, that's when you're going to start having like the helmety look. And I'm using the Big Sexy Spray and Play hairspray. I love that stuff for updos because if it's not exactly where you want it, you can still kind of move it and spray it again. So I love, love, love that stuff. And I'm going to do the same thing with this last chunk of hair with the knot that I did on the other side. I'm going to pull the first one really tight, as tight as I can though. Just because I don't want this side of the hair to be sticking out too far. Okay, and then I'm going to push this base really flat to her head, and I'm going to pin the base down just to make sure that I'm getting that hair tight to her head, because I want the balance to be on this side. I don't want this side of her head over here to be like all poking out. I want it mostly the knot underneath here on this side. That's not the right color. I swear I look at it and then I pick it up and it's the wrong one. There we go. And this is really loose and messy looking, but still like elegant. It's not ratty looking. It's more just like curly, messy, curly. Yeah, I don't know how to explain it. It's a wedding updo, that's what it is. It's beautiful. So her wedding dress is, what is it called? Sweetheart. So it kind of goes down like the heart. Mm-hmm. And it's, so it doesn't have anything on the shoulders. So that's why we're doing her hair nice and low. It's going to complement having the line right here. And it's going to look really pretty coming down onto her back. So now we just get to play with it. So this is the point where there might be like 20 million things that the bride's like, oh, that's really bugging me. That piece of hair is really bugging me. And if they are freaking out and like pulling at their hair and putting their fingers in their hair while I'm doing it, I'll usually just really nicely be like, at the very end, when I'm done, when I think I'm done, I'll ask you if there's anything that's bugging you, and we can take care of it. She was really good. She didn't do that. I've had people do that before where they're like, oh, this piece, will you get this piece? And I'm like, okay, I see that that piece is ugly, but I need to do that at the end. I need to focus on what I'm doing, and then I'll come back. And I promise I won't let you leave until we both agree that it looks good. So sometimes I do have to get in their face and back them down. No, I'm just kidding. That was rude. But yeah, it's something that if you explain to them, as soon as I'm done, I will ask you if there's anything that's bothering you about this, and we can fix anything that is bumping out too high or too tight, and we can adjust it. And so that's the big thing is you get this style in, and then you go back through and you perfect it. And that's how I do my updos, and it works. I haven't had any crying brides yet, so we'll see. Maybe Arlena will cry. If I'm lucky. I know we do like it when brides cry, but only for the right reasons. Not for their hair. Tears of joy, maybe.
There you go.
I don't think so. However, if there is something where they're like, okay, I do not like this at all, let's just redo it. And they change their mind, maybe you can listen to them. I don't know. You're gonna have to take it how it comes.
Where the bride starts crying.
I've had that happen, but yeah. Okay, so that's bugging me now. So I'm gonna look through the mirror, make sure that she doesn't have any spots that are sticking out way funny. And she's gonna have her hair colored, she promised me. Mm-hmm. It's fine. I actually think that roots are pretty a little bit. Maybe not on this one because the braid's covering where the rest of it is, but.
Brown line.
Yeah, like, oh, there's a brown line there. No, it's fine. My hair is the same way, Arlita. We're twins today.
feels really good. It feels like I can headbang.
This is when I ask people too, do you want me to kind of like let these like hang down, or do you want them more rolled up in there?
Whatever you suggest.
I think that they're kind of pretty, like leaving them soft to where they kind of look like they're just falling out. All right, let's do flowers. They are beautiful and they smell good, just in case you were wondering. And she just grabbed these from Costco or what? Miss? Yep, she just picked them up at the grocery store. So I'm just using bobby pins, and I am going to just kind of stick them in the hair wherever I think they will be pretty. And I'm going to go along this braid and then a few into this curly part. And I love doing flowers and wedding updos because it's so nice, because if you have a little hole in the hairstyle somewhere where you're like, oh, that would be nice if I had somewhere to cover, something to cover that up with, then you can just stick a little flower in there and it's beautiful. So I don't know about the yellow, so I'm just doing the baby's breath, and we might take it out, but
I think baby's breath is perfect.
But we might keep it, I don't know. But yeah, I always stick it in, and then if I like it, I bobby pin it. When I'm putting flowers in, I kind of make sure that it's like the rule of 3. A lot of the time, it's better to have 1 or 3. If you like there's 2 here, but then this one on this side makes it 3. So from the front you can see 3. And I think it just keeps it better. If we were to do 1, 2, 3, 4, I don't know, it just, for some reason, it's with arranging flowers and with hair, groups of 3 tend to look better. So keep that in mind when you're doing curls or like adding little flowers in. You want to do 1, 3, or 5. So. And then I have, like, on this side, there's 3 there. And then if you're looking kind of from the back, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that you can see. From this side, there's 3. And from the front, there's 3. So the balance is really pretty right now. There might be a couple more places that I can add some in if there's a hole, but you don't really want to do too much. I don't know. I hope you guys learned something from this, because I still feel like I don't know how I did it. So good luck, and don't give up on updos, because half the time I'm looking at it and like, this is so ugly. And then I'm done and I'm like, oh, I love it, it's so pretty. I didn't actually feel like her hair was ugly, except for like when I stuck the braid in over here, I was like, oh, that's horrible. How am I gonna cover that up? But it's covered, you can't see it, and now it looks gorgeous. So don't give up, keep playing with the hair, and guys, thanks so much for watching. Make sure you give me a thumbs up. I'm serious, right now. I'm waiting, go. Thumbs up for getting married, and thumbs up for being friends since we were little kids and still talk to each other. That's cool, even though it's only like a couple times a year. But it's getting better. We're best friends again, right? We never were. It's funny, we didn't see each other for like 15 years. And we didn't skip a beat, like we just picked right back up. So anyway, we'll see you guys next time, and hopefully this beautiful bride, you will see some pictures of her later, maybe if I do her pictures. I don't know, I haven't decided yet. So, okay, bye guys.